guys, welcome back now to the 250 years into the future experiment on FM20 on LS Plays FM, and now to part 2. Firstly, I just want to say a massive thank you for all of the appreciation and the views that the original experiment video got, and also to the comments and the feedback that the video itself got. Currently, as I'm recording this, the video is at nearly 1,000 views, which is unbelievable, considering I think before that my highest viewed video was about 200 views in the space of about 2 months, and that video has only been out about a week now. I cannot quite believe that it's done as well as it has, and the amount of feedback and just the comments and the questions has been really just fantastic to be able to read and to answer and stuff. And it's because of those comments and those feedback from you guys that this part 2 is even happening. I never initially planned on making a part 2, but people have kind of asked questions about the database, and they mentioned stuff that I missed in the original video, so I thought it would make sense to make a part 2 today, really, for you guys to be able to watch. That will cover all those things that I've been asked. So it's going to mainly cover things like the international sides. That's kind of the main bulk of the things I got asked, as well as things like the European coefficients and also the league standings in terms of the league rankings across world football. So they're the main things we're going to look at in this part 2. I am also planning on releasing the database for the 250 years in the future experiment. This experiment we're going to be covering in this video, and obviously in part 1 that obviously has already come out, and also in the previous experiment I did where I changed the TV deal that the English clubs got. So both those databases are going to be getting released hopefully either later this week or next week. I'll be making just a very short video kind of showing, number one, where I've hosted them online and how to download them basically. So that will be coming as in the next few days, next week essentially. So keep an eye out for that. If you did miss part 1, I would highly recommend, I'm going to put a link up above me, it'll be over here somewhere, so feel free to click on that and it will take you to part 1, and you can obviously return to this part 2 later on, or even watch this maybe first and then go back to part 1. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to have anything spoiled because we're just going to be going through, as I say, mainly the internationals and the European coefficients, etc. today. So without further ado, we'll get into the database. But before we do, I'll just ask one small thing. If you do enjoy today's video, guys, please do chuck a like on it, and also let me know down in the comments if this has hopefully covered everything that you wanted me to go through. If you have any other questions, do chuck them down in the comments as well. I'm happy to answer individual ones about specific teams, things like that. And also let me know about possible other experiment ideas. I have got one more planned, definitely before FM21 comes out, which I've already kind of started working on the database, so that should be out in the next few weeks. But of course, there's still going to be time before the game comes out because there's still no official release date yet. So any ideas for experiments, chuck them down in the comments below and I'll be happy to read through those. And of course, guys, if you are looking forward to seeing any more of my content, and whether that be experiments or my regular Football Manager save with Maidstone United on the Stones rolling up, then do subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all of my content. But guys, let's get into this here and find out what else is happening 250 years into the future. So guys, here we are then. We're here on the database. We're now, as I say, 250 years into the future here again in May 2269. And we will first of all go straight into the international sides. So let's go straight away to the World Cup, shall we? And let's find out who's been. I haven't really looked hugely at the World Cups and things like that. I know England did pretty well. Other than that, I haven't really paid too much attention to the internationals. I kind of just forgot to look when I did the other episode, to be honest. Just completely slipped my mind. But let's first of all go straight into the past winners. So England have won the most recent World Cup. They won the 2266 World Cup. Of course, England likes the number 66, that's for sure. And of course, 1966 being the only World Cup England in real life have ever won. And it actually looks like I've just seen they won the 2166 World Cup. They didn't win the 2066 one as well. They actually did. Interesting little thing there from England. The fact they won a World Cup every century at 66 in its name. Bit weird there. I didn't even realise I'd done that, so I'm thoroughly impressed with the fact England managed to do that. But in terms of who else have actually won, you've got England, you've got France, Spain, you've got the Netherlands actually has got a World Cup under their belt. You've got England and France, Spain appearing all again, Netherlands as well. And you've got the Republic of Ireland. Okay, in 2198. Flipping heck. Republic of Ireland with a World Cup. And I see they've also got a third place there in 2178. So, and another third place there in 2230. Flipping heck, Ireland. Cool, how the hell they managed that? And I've also seen that Wales got runners-up as well in the World Cup in 2182. Okay, fair enough. The British Isles then are seemingly doing pretty well then, it would appear. You got Italy winning another World Cup to add to their collection. You've got quite a few Italy's actually in here. It's been a while actually though since Germany's won one. The last World Cup they won is basically 100 years ago in game. Because of course we're at 2269 now. The last World Cup they won was 2170. That's crazy to think that in that long since Germany have won a World Cup in the game. Who else? So there's no other winners here that we haven't had. You've got Argentina in 2110. So that's ridiculous actually. That means the first or the last non-European side to win a World Cup was 150 years ago in game. That's bonkers. That's absolutely crazy to think that that could ever happen. Flipping heck. It shows how dominant European football's become at this point in the save. That's insane. You got Turkey with a World Cup in 2102. Brazil with their last World Cup in 2098. So they haven't won one since the turn of the century. That's insane and all. You got Belgium, they won a couple early on and they haven't won any for ages. And Portugal also won one in 2030. But that is all there is in terms of winners. There's no other winners. I've just seen Ivory Coast got to a couple of finals, as did Colombia, as did Austria, randomly. Bit weird there. Ukraine with a third place. Russia with a second place. Fair enough, Russia. Uruguay. Any other weird teams up there? You got another Uruguay. Doesn't really look it. Scotland got third place there in 22-26. So it seems like the British Isles have really started to develop their teams and rebuild some strong sides, it would seem. But other than that, there's no real big shocks, I'd say. That's pretty crazy, actually. Croatia only got, since the beginning of the game, a third place. That was it. Considering how many wonder kids and stuff Croatia generates in the game, I'm surprised the fact they've never got closer to winning a World Cup. Fair enough then with Croatia there. Pretty unlucky from them, I'd say, because obviously the fact that the most recent World Cup, of course, they were runners-up in it after they painfully beat England in the semi-final, which it still hurts even now, remembering that Perisic goal. But that's not the point of this. We're not here to think about real life. We're here to think about FM. Let's have a look at the records then for the World Cup. So apparently England have won the most World Cups. They've won 18. So that means since the beginning of the game, of course, the only World Cup England had was 1966. And they've since won 17 World Cups in 250 years. So that's pretty damn good going from England there. Any other big records? The biggest win in a World Cup was France with a 16-0 victory over the Philippines. And apparently Scotland beat Guyana 16-1. That's pretty insane to even think. The most matches won the most 19 with England. So that must have meant they won the World Cup 2 years running with that, between 2242 and 2250. What else have we got? We got Iran, looks like the team which you don't want to be supporting in the World Cup, with 77 games without winning a match between 2030 and 2182. So that's they went 152 years in the World Cup without winning a game. Flipping heck there, Iran. And apparently Saudi Arabia went 26 years there, is that? No, 36 years even, without scoring a goal in over the course of 18 different matches. Unlucky there, Saudi Arabia. That's not ideal. What about, oh my goodness. I've just seen the average rating, the highest average rating for one player over the course of the tournament was a 9.44 for an English player, Anton Helgi Sigborsson, who I presume must have had Icelandic nationality as well. And also he's got the most goals for a player over the course of the World Cup as well, with 14 over in the entire tournament. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy when you think about the fact that, what was it, Harry Kane at the last World Cup got it with 6? And this player's got 14 in one tournament. Bloody hell, that's insane. And that is the same World Cup, actually. He got a 9.44. Let's actually have a look at that World Cup. So 2174. So hopefully I don't forget that number. We'll just have a quick look and just see who they played and see the margins they were winning those games by. As you can see, it is a little bit laggy, the database, when you do try and click on certain things. And my computer's pretty beefy, so the fact it's taken this long kind of says kind of how choppy the database is at this point. If we go in, we want to go to 2174, so back almost 100 years. Let's go all the way back. Here we go, 2174. So the World Cup. okay, I can see why this guy got so many goals. With England getting a 6-0, a 5-0, an 8-0, a 2-0, a 4-1, a 3-0. They then had a 5-5 with Spain in... Oh, that's the World Cup final. Holy hell. World Cup final, 5-5, which went to penalties. And then look at the number of penalties scored. Oh my God. Bloody hell, if I was an England fan and I was watching that, I think I'd be having a heart attack by the end of that. Imagine being a Spain fan though, having gone through all of that hell. Deary me, and the guy scored a hat-trick in the final as well. Flipping heck. Who did he play? Oh, okay, he was a Burnley player. Considering the fact that if you've seen part one, you'll know how good Burnley were. I'm not surprised he was a Burnley player. But he looks very, very good. I wonder if he was a striker. I was going to say, I wonder if he was a striker or a midfielder, but no, he was a striker. Well, we can certainly say the World Cups are certainly interesting, but that final, my God, that is insane. Absolutely crazy. Flipping heck. Right, let's have a look at the Euros now, shall we? So the European Football Championship. Let's go on to the past winners. And let's have a look at this. Is this any crazier than the World Cup? It doesn't look overly so. You've got the likes of England, Netherlands, Spain, the teams that are all in World Cup, France, Germany. There's a lot of Germany actually winning this. You've then got more Germany, more Netherlands, more Spain. Ireland won our Euros as well. So Ireland kind of continuing on how good they were from the World Cup. And a lot of England again, a lot of Spain. Got some Italy. It's a little while though since Italy won a Euros. Over 150 years since they last won one. Ukraine won one very early on, actually. 2056, Ukraine with a European Championship. And Croatia got one early on as well, because in fact they didn't win a World Cup. It's at least they won a Euros anyway. But overall, no major shocks other than really Ukraine and Ireland winning the Euros. What about runners-up? You had Poland, Switzerland, Denmark. You had Turkey up there, because in fact Turkey won a World Cup. I'm not surprised they were getting further into the Euros as well. You got Scotland runners-up. So Scotland seem to have got to 2 finals currently, but no actual wins. Ireland making a good few finals up here, though. And Wales, most recently, kind of the biggest shot getting to a final as well. And overall, though, the Euros is slightly less surprising than what the World Cup itself was, though, it would seem. But there's still some strange winners in there. What about the records for the Euros? So, again, much like the World Cup, the most times won is held by England. This time 17 European Championships. So it looks like, and of course that's all going to be since the beginning of the game because England have never won the Euros in real life. So in terms of World Cups and Euros, they've won both since the start of the database, 17 for England. So that's pretty impressive. Of course, being from England, that's quite nice to see. Brings a bit of a smile to my face. But the idea that England could actually ever be that good. But considering the fact that it's just been international games in real life and we just played a 0-0 draw with Denmark, I don't think we'll be winning anything anytime soon because we looked awful IRL. Hopefully we can maybe take a bit of a leaf out of the FM England book and, actually sort out how we're playing in real life. It seems the biggest attendance, though, is massive, 140,000 between Belgium and Italy. The lowest attendance was only 25,000. Biggest ever win since at 8-0. So that's surprising. Considering the fact the World Cup, there was like 16-0s and stuff like that. The highest in the Euros was only an 8-0. And it was England versus Belgium as well. A team that you probably expect to be doing a bit better than that. You had most matches won away was 23 with Germany. So that looks like, and that's over a 12-year period. So it looks like Germany probably won 3 Euros in a row then. And most matches without losing is also held by Germany. Unlike the World Cup, the periods of time that the most matches lost in a row and the most matches without scoring aren't quite as long. It's only 8 for without scoring and only 20 for loss in a row, unlike Saudi Arabia and Iran with 70-odd games there. But it's not quite as crazy as I was expecting, considering how insane the World Cup was. And even the highest average rate, I mean, it's still a 9.173, but it's only over 3 appearances rather than the 5 that the World Cup had. So not quite as insane, really, as the World Cup was, but still pretty crazy viewing there, that's for sure. Now, of course, that's the Euros and that's the World Cup. In terms of the internationals, that's probably all I'm going to cover. I'm not going to go through like the South American and North American competition, things like that. If you are interested, I'll be happy to kind of let you know more info about it. And of course, I am going to release the database, so feel free to possibly download the database and take a look as well yourselves. I have been asked, though, to view the European coefficients. So let's go and have a look at that. If we go on here, we go to Europe, let's have a look at rankings. So this is on the nation rankings at the moment. So apparently England is first, but we want to have a look at the nation club coefficients. So it would appear that England is very much top of that list by one hell of a distance. And of course, the coefficients, for anyone who's obviously who may be watching, not 100% sure on what it is referring to essentially the points that clubs in European competitions like Champions League, Europa League get for kind of how they perform. So essentially based on this, England is performing the best in European competitions like Champions League, etc. And so they are top. So essentially that's what it's doing. So if we actually go to the qualification places, we can see England is very much top of that list. They have the highest amount of spots available. You've got Germany, France, Spain, which you can't expect to see. Italy has dropped down now below Russia and Turkey, which considering the fact if you've seen part one, we know that Trabzonspor randomly won a few Champions Leagues and Europa Leagues and so on. So I'm not that surprised to see Turkey doing that well. You've also got Hungary up there in 8th, Denmark in 9th, Scotland in 10th, Iceland, which is the big one for me, which I love the fact, is up in now in 16th place, which considering the fact that they had the team Breidablik, who again, if you haven't seen part one, highly recommend going and seeing it because an Icelandic side made 4 Champions League finals. Unbelievably, an Icelandic side fully with highly greyed out players as well, mind you. Don't quite know how the hell they managed it, but they did. And now they're up into 16th place in terms of the European coefficient qualification places, essentially. You've also got Ireland's got up pretty high now. Portugal has dropped down miles, as has Netherlands. Wow, that's pretty crazy to think that Portugal and the Netherlands have dropped below the top 20 now in terms of the top leagues in Europe. How are they doing in the rankings, those countries? So the Netherlands' actual national team is doing a lot better. It's just their league is really struggling. Portugal isn't doing very well though. Portugal's down in 35th now. So it looks like Portugal has really dropped off from kind of the football scene in general. The Netherlands, at least in terms of national side, is doing well, but the league isn't for some reason. Not quite sure why that's the case, but they're not doing that well. Now, the final thing I will cover with you as well that I have been asked is in terms of the actual league ranking. So this isn't in terms of the European qualification spots or anything like that. It's in terms of actually how the leagues are ranked in terms of their reputation, this one is. So it doesn't actually matter so much if leagues, in terms of teams from those leagues are performing that well. It's based on the reputation factor in the game. And I'll also show you the club reputations as well. So if we look at competitions and go to leagues, so rather randomly, I spotted this when we did the part one, but I didn't really investigate it. The Danish Super League is ranked the highest league in the world in terms of its reputation, at least in terms of Europe. I don't know why, as when we looked at the Champions League and Europa League winners, Copenhagen have won a couple of Europa Leagues, but that's about it. So I'm not too sure why it is so high. You then have the Premier League second, then Liga, then the Bundesliga, then La Liga. But then you have the Turkish Super League, then the Russian League, then the Austrian League, the Hungarian League, the Slovakian League. How the hell is the Slovakian League the 10th highest reputation league in Europe? It's even ranked higher than Italy. How on earth is the Slovakian League and the Hungarian and the Austrian League ranked higher than Italy? I don't understand that, but that's what it is. You then have the Croatian League, the Czech League, the Ukrainian League, and the Pepsi Max. I don't know if that's a Dilden. I think the Icelandic Premier League basically is ranked 15th, which again, I love that. I love the fact that Iceland is so good in this save. I don't know why they're so good. I really don't, but I love it. And the Eredivisie is down in 26 spots. So, of course, the Eredivisie really has dropped off, that's for sure. Let's have a look at the clubs, though, and let's go on to the list. So in terms of the highest ranked reputation for clubs, it is Burnley, which isn't a surprise if you've seen part one, because Burnley are disgustingly good. They are the most successful team ever in English football, so I'm not surprised they're top. Juve are second, which considering the fact the Italian league is so low down, I don't understand how Juve can be ranked in second place. You then have Shakhtar as the third highest club based on reputation, then Real. Benfica is still really high, considering the fact the Portuguese league is so low. I find that surprising. Then Trabzonspor, who I've already mentioned, have previously won Champions League and so on, so again, I'm not surprised with that. Lille are really high, which actually, again, isn't a surprise because Lille were very, very good. Barcelona, Salzburg, Celtic, Bayern, Chesterfield. I love the fact Chesterfield is so good in this save. I adore that. Marseille, Leipzig, Kretil. I remember I did mention him in part one, actually. Kretil. They won a couple of Ligue 1, so again, not that surprising. Although the fact that they're, I think they're a Ligue 2 side, or they might even be the league below that actually in real life. I'm not sure. So again, that's pretty impressive. They've done that well. And then you have likes of Rosenborg and Dundalk And then the Icelandic side breeder blick up here, which I love that. I really, really adore that. So, so cool to see. But guys, I think that is kind of going to wrap up what we're going to run through in this part today. I say it's meant to be a lot shorter, so hopefully that should be able to cover everything that you guys have asked for as well. So then guys, that just about wraps up this experiment, and that will be most likely the final thing we see of it. As I say, of course, I am going to be releasing the database for this over the next couple of days, or possibly by next week at the latest, hopefully. So if you are interested in getting a copy of the database, then just keep an eye out on my channel, because I'll be releasing a video for it in the near future. I will, of course, also be chucking a link of it probably on Reddit as well. So keep an eye on either over there or here, and you should be able to keep up to date whenever that gets released. But of course, part 1 was insane, and I say if you haven't watched that, do go over and watch it. There'll be a link once again showing right above me if you do want to go and see it, and there'll be a link right into the video as well for you to click on. But part 2 with the international stuff is equally just as crazy. The idea of the Republic of Ireland, for example, winning a World Cup, and the England striker who scored 14 goals over the course of the tournament is utterly insane. I've never seen numbers like that by a single player. Not even when I've managed a team in a World Cup. I'm saying that I don't actually know if I've actually ever won the World Cup, saying that in FM. I may well have done. I know I've won the Euros, but I may not have won a World Cup. But regardless, I've never seen like complete destruction by one player. And then the fact that in that same final that we looked at in, what was it, 21-74, it finished 5-5 and went to penalties, and there was like 10 or 12 pens taken by each side in a World Cup final. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And in the fact the league rankings and the club rankings, the fact you've got the likes of Iceland and Turkey and Slovakia randomly really high up on the list, it's just comical. It's really just crazy to think that, obviously I know we've gone 250 years into the future, and I mean in real life football might not even be a thing at that point, but at least in the game the whole landscape of football really has changed. It just has 100%. Regardless of that though guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this part of the experiment. I really hope you've enjoyed the whole experiment altogether really. I've really enjoyed making it and just seeing what FM can do. It's just crazy and I love it. I really do. I love the fact you can do this with FM. There's so few games where you can kind of just have so much kind of free reign and just be able to go and see such insane things taking place. So as I say guys, if you did enjoy it, please do chuck a like on it. It really helps the channel out. And also let me know down in the comment section. Number 1, hopefully if you enjoyed the video, let me know down below. But also if you have any ideas, as I said earlier on, any ideas for any future experiments you'd like me to cover, please do let me know. And also again, if I've missed anything else off, maybe I've missed off your club or your country, just chuck it down in the comments below and I should hopefully be able to get back to you about that and let you know. Finally though guys, if you are looking forward to seeing either any more experiments by myself or any of my other content such as my Maidstone United Save the Stones Running on Up series, then do subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all of my content. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I will see you again next time.